Welcome back to the Financial Safety Net. I'm Kristen Felder with Collision Hub, and this is part three of a four-part reading of my position paper for independent collision repair shop owners. In part one, we talked about the warning. What happens when ownership becomes completely separated from the work that creates revenue? In part two, we talked about the market reset, shrinking repairable claims, rising total losses, higher deductibles, raising costs, labor pressure, and reimbursement cuts. So, in this section, we look at where the pressure lands, why scale is not the same thing as freedom, and why the insurer was able to solve a labor problem in a way collision shops cannot. The full paper is available through the link in the description. Let's begin part three. Why it lands hardest in the middle. The volume that remains is not distributed evenly, and increasingly, the shop does not set its own price. The largest consolidators now operate thousands of locations. They represent a relatively small percentage of total shops, but they capture a much larger share of the industry revenue. That is the steering mechanism or claims funnel in plain numbers. Scale serves the carrier, and the carrier rewards scale with volume. The honest picture is that the danger does not fall on everyone but the giants. The clearest immediate losers are the single shop and small operators carrying fixed staff and overhead without the scale to absorb the falling rates. Nearly 800 single shop closures were estimated in a recent single year. But large MSOs are not immune to those same forces. They simply experience them at a different scale. The MSO model does not own its own labor either. It rents labor through payroll, benefits, recruiting, training, management layers, and retention costs across large facilities with large leases and large overhead obligations. That model works when volume is strong enough to feed that machine. It becomes much harder when the repairable pool shrinks, total losses rise, labor costs climb, and insurance reimbursement tightens. In a shrinking market, MSOs increasingly compete for the one thing their model requires most: volume. That often means trying to become the preferred choice for insurers is by offering consistency, coverage, cycle time, centralized process, and price predictability. In practical terms, it can become a bidding contest for carrier favor. Each large group tries to prove it can be the easiest, fastest, and most scalable partner for the insurer. But there is a limit to how low any labor dependent business can go. A collision repair facility, well, they still have to pay people who have to touch the car. It still has to pay rent, utilities, benefits, equipment, training, software, insurance, and management. Scale can spread those costs, but it cannot erase them. If the price of insurer volume gets too low, the MSO has to make that math work somewhere else. Higher throughput, fewer administrative roles, more centralized estimating, tighter labor utilization, vendor concessions, market consolidation, store closures, or more pressure on the repair process itself. Well, that is the difference between scale and resilience. Scale gives the large MSO leverage, access, and negotiating power. It may allow them to survive on thinner margins than a smaller operator, but scale also creates a larger machine that must be fed every day. The independent shop's advantage is not that it can outscale the MSO, it is that it may not need to. The cut line runs through the middle. Two positions survive: enough scale and efficiency to thrive on thin margins, or lean enough that the business does not need high volume to make a living. This paper, it's about that second path. The path available to a shop without millions in capital, where the skilled labor lives inside the ownership and the largest variable cost converts from fixed overhead into the owner's own income. Now, to understand the squeeze, we have to look at what the insurer did about its own labor problem, because the insurer faced the same human cost cliff that now the shop faces. But the insurer had a way to engineer out of it. Carriers, well, they saw what was coming. The cost of skilled labor was rising, training was expensive, and turnover was constant. And the workforce was aging out. A democratic cliff was forming as the boomer generation retired and Gen X began to follow. Claims adjuster and underwriting roles are projected to decline as automation absorbs more of the work. The insurance workforce has been facing mass retirement pressure. A significant share of claims adjusters are projected to retire only within the next few years. So insurers did the rational thing for a business that can do this. They re engineered the claims process again to be dependent less on human judgment. Over the last 20 years, photo based estimating, automated total loss decisions, rules engines that have determined what they owed, direct to consumer apps, and standardized pricing agreements have steadily replaced the adjuster's time and judgment. They industrialized away their own labor exposure. The result is that the carrier is far less dependent on scarce, expensive humans as it was a generation ago. And this is the sentence I want every shop owner to really hear. The insurer could turn an adjuster into software. A shop cannot turn a body tech into software. Someone's hands still have to touch that car. And the single fact is the shop's greatest advantage and its greatest vulnerability at the same time. That asymmetry is a whole problem. The human element is what makes collision work defensible. It cannot be offshored, it cannot be automated, it cannot be downloaded, but it's also what makes a shop fragile. That labor is expensive, it's scarce, and it can walk out the door anytime it wants. The insurer shed the exposure the shop is structurally stuck to holding. You cannot change the fact that someone has to touch the car. You can only change whether that someone is you or a payroll you are praying does not quit. That is why scaling the human and building model is so hard to sustain. History keeps proving that scaling people and brick and mortar is expensive. A bigger footprint and a bigger payroll cost more every year just to stand still. More rent, more wages, more benefits, more management. It works beautiful when the volume's there to feed it, and it becomes a trap the moment the volume thins. That's exactly the contraction this market is in right now. When you are paying everyone and everything, the cash flow that covered it all in the busy years cannot keep up with these lean ones. That is why the failure cluster among the scaled and staffed. And that's why the small family run shop with a minimal fixed load can be a genuine competitive advantage rather than a disadvantage. It comes down to one question every shop owner should ask about every person and every cost in the building. Is this a revenue generator or an expense? In a lean shop, the people touching the cars generate the revenue, and the owner is one of them. In a heavy shop, the payroll fills with people who are pure overhead, necessary when the volume is high, fatal when it is not. The leaner the ratio of revenue generators to expenses, the longer the shop can survive on less work. That ratio, more than size or program status, is what determines who will still open when the market turns again. So, where does this appear to be heading? Project the current forces forward, and the direction is consistent across insurers, claims, and vehicle technology. Insurers will keep concentrating and standardizing. National agreements, automated rules engines that decide what's owed, the standardized pricing for paint part scans, calibrations, and other operations all point to less shop control over both volume and price, not more. Claims will keep thinning. Safer vehicles, higher deductibles, and rising total loss frequency keep shrinking the repairable pool. The work that remains will be more complex and more variable per job. The vehicle will keep outrunning the workforce. Modern cars contain more computer than they do chassis. Repairability is decreasing. The required knowledge increasingly resembles a technical profession. And that's not the skill set of the old shop class to the trade pipeline that was reliably producing our employees. The talent gap is not just fewer people, it is fewer people who can clear a higher bar. And AI will replace the desk and not the bay. Photo driven estimating, rules engines, and standardized pricing are automating the estimating and administrative layer of the business. A shop may not need a traditional in house estimator the way it does today, but no software removes the bumper, no software welds on a panel, and no software currently sends the vehicle to paint. The hands on craft becomes more valuable because it's part It cannot be moved off-site or automated away. This is the modern version of the 1979 problem. The car has outrun the workforce again. An untrained technician on a sensor-heavy mixed substrate vehicle can create risk they cannot see. iCar itself, founded for the Unibody, now frames its role around the talent crisis and the increasing complexity of modern vehicles. The institution built for the first inflection is openly telling the industry it's living through the second one. The right response is the same as it was then. Read the vehicle and meet it with depth. Now, that's where we'll stop for part three. In part four, we'll get into the traps being sold to independent shops, the advice that may create more fixed cost, the core skills that actually repair the car, and the bottom line for the owners who want to survive this market. Download the full paper in the link in the description. And if this has raised any questions about your own shop, your estimating, your customer communication, your insurance process, or your business model, we'll take a look at the C20 groups from Collision Hub. The goal is not just to understand what is changing. The goal is to build a shop with options. When the work stops, the skill becomes your safety net.